What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live, large and in charge from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, known affectionately as Site B. It is March. It is the 28th day of March, and it is a beautiful sunny day outside. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is second to last story coming out of D&D Direct. So much news coming out of D&D Direct. So much stuff we need to unpack. Hardly any of it has anything to do exactly with Dungeons & Dragons, but we do know that what Wizards of the Coast has planned for the next 5 years, in case it's a surprise to anybody who didn't know, because they've only been talking about it. And one of the things they talked about was the upcoming Wizards of the Coast Dungeons & Dragons VTT. Remember that thing? The thing that they said they were going to make in August, and then we never saw anything about it ever again until now. Now we finally get to see some footage from it running on the Unreal Engine. This is what it looks like. So this is supposed to, as they take D&D Digital, Stutzman said multiple times during this, we're taking D&D Digital. I know there's people out there, like two of you, who still think that the Wizards of the Coast Hasbro plans to make D&D a digital format. Is not going to happen. But Kale Stutzman, who is a principal game designer over at Wizards of the Coast, because nobody at Wizards of the Coast apparently has an actual normal job. Everybody is a principal game designer or a vice president or an executive director. There's nobody at Wizards of the Coast who's just Jill in editing or Steve in copying or, Francis in accounting. Nobody has a normal job. Everybody, the 30 employees are all principal, executive, vice, something. How many people does it take to be in charge of Wizards of the Coast? Really? There's like only 30 of you. So anyways, they rolled Stutzman out, and he gave the talk about the VTT, and this is what he showed us, running on the Unreal Engine 5, again, repeating over and over again the digital progression of Dungeons & Dragons to a completely digital format for the future up to 2027, because we will talk about that tomorrow, because I'm getting exhausted. This is what it looks like. That's kind of pretty. That's okay. So, yeah, what do we think of the D&D 5e VTT? Other than the amount of work you're going to have to do to make it look even half this good. This is amazing. This is exciting. This is breathtaking. This is all stuff that we've already seen from video games that are like 5 years old. I just played through the beta of Diablo 4, and it looked like this or better. I mean, this is brighter, but are we excited about this? Because so far the responses to this that I am seeing are, yeah, no. For one thing, it's overly complicated, and most computers won't be able to run it. I mean, let's face it, computers, everybody's computer that I know who's on Roll20 and the Foundry and Forge and stuff have trouble running those. Okay. I mean, there's even people who have trouble running Owlbear Radio, and Owlbear Radio is one of the simplest, but I'm in multiple online games using Forge, Foundry, and Roll20, and none of them work. Every computer has problems with those. So the first complaint we already have about these is that there's no computer powerful enough to run these unless you've got like some top of the line, 5th generation fighter, super HAL 9000. Everybody else, yeah, it's not going to look this good. Two, this is stuff that's like 5 years old. We already know that there's better imagery that you can make and a lot easier that looks a lot more realistic. And why isn't this top down? This looks like a video game. It doesn't look like a D&D VTT. It's just gonna, no. I haven't heard, I've seen 3 reviews based upon this. None of them are positive. What do I think? Well, I know my computer's not going to be able to run it. My computer can barely run Roll20 and Foundry. I don't think there's a computer out there that can run this. And I'm not going to buy it anyways. And I don't know anybody who is, because we already have Roll20 and Foundry that do the same job better. But I got to report it. So here it is. The first images coming out of the Unreal 5 Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons virtual tabletop, the eventual evolution of what D&D Beyond will become. This is what you can look forward to someday. It is still in pre-alpha, so most of these are just rendered and not actual footage. But yeah, and I know I sound like a petulant, sarcastic brat, but it's Wizards of the Coast, and it's so hard to find anything exciting coming out of Wizards of the Coast, other than the news about the Dragonlance movie, which I am tentatively excited about. Everything else is just perpetually worse and worse and more painful to talk about. And it's harder and harder to remain unbiased with this stuff because I'm just looking at this going, oh, God. And the most disappointing thing of all the stories coming out of this half an hour long, 31-minute long documentary about Wizards of the Coast plans between now and 2027 is very little of it was about D&D. Only 3 minutes of it were actually about Dungeons and Dragons plans. And even though we're extremely vague, we know that there's going to be villains. We know it's going to be multiversal. We know that the next 5 years are going to have interconnected stories, even though Crawford continues to reassure us that there are no more interconnected stories. There's no canon and nothing is connected to each other because it's system agnostic. It's world agnostic. They want the adventures to be able to be applied anywhere because there's no canon anymore. And yet also now there's going to be interconnected stories, and they're going to feature Vecna because he's coming back, even though he's never been anywhere. Other than that, we got no announcements of names of products for next year or release dates or what we can expect for the 2024 Player's Handbook or what they're going to call it, even though we know we're probably going to call it 6th edition. But instead, we got this. Here are some 3D rendered AI art of what we think the final product will look like from the VTT. Should we ever finish it? By the way, let us continue to reaffirm the fact that we are taking D&D Digital starting 2024, and anybody who believes otherwise needs to wake up and smell the eraser shavings. But yeah, and that nobody at Wizards of the Coast has an actual real job. Everybody is executive, head, directors, premiers, whatever. I don't know. It is so hard. It is so hard not to just be sarcastic about this. It is so hard to be, unbiased and try and find something positive out of this. And I'm trying. I'm looking at these pictures and going, this is amazing. Except this is just 3D rendered art of what you think it's going to look like when you're finished, because this is a projection. You're still in pre-alpha. This is the Unreal Engine running a script of a little movie you made to show us what you think the game's going to look like. Should there actually be a computer out there powerful enough to run this and to continue to reassure us that D&D is going digital no matter what the shallow end of the 5e pool feels like. Now, I mean, this doesn't affect me because I don't have any plans on buying any of these or seeing the movie. And even if Joe Manganiello is directing, writing, producing the D&D Dragonlance movie, I am tentatively excited about that. But then I also have to remind myself this is Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. And haven't they already screwed Joe over at least 2 times before? So, yeah. Take anything with a grain of salt. So can I find anything positive about this other than they're pretty pictures? No, because you literally are stating, Wizards of the Coast, we are putting this product out to destroy every other virtual tabletop. Our virtual tabletop is only being made so people don't use the other virtual tabletops. And the other, I want to support those other guys. I don't want to support you. I want to support Roll20 and Foundry and whatever, even if though my computer can't run it. So what do you think? Are you excited about this? Are you disappointed? Do you even care? Should I just shut up? All right, that's it. I got one more today, but I'm going to take a break because the last one isn't even really a story. Until next time, I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, let me know. If you want me to keep talking about this, let me know. If you don't want to see me keep talking about this, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me reach 2,000 subs by the end of the year. And instead of wasting hundreds and thousands of dollars on projected Wizards of the Coast product that we might see in 2024, why don't you take like $10, head on over to Big Geek Emporium and buy my merch. $2 a pop. Amazing adventures. Exciting. Mind-blowing. Earth-shattering. Paradigm-shifting. Better than anything else you will see that I've made. So head on over to Big Geek Emporium and buy my merch. And until then, have a great day. Let's take a break, okay? I will talk to you all later. See ya.